the only metric I even care about is that, did you show up today? Click. I checked you into class. That's the only metric I even care about. Nobody cares about how heavy you lift. Nobody cares how fast you did it in. Did you do it well? Did you move well? Did you show up? That's the first thing. So that's the metric we care about. And so we go over that over and over again every week. Say, hey, how are we looking? How are the classes looking? Which one's looking? So
you're an inspiration to our entire organization.
Welcome to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. We're going to be talking the done-for-you marketing and sales strategies proven to work with boutique fitness gyms to increase quality lead flow and grow your revenue. Don't try to be a professional marketer and waste tons of money. Let the experts at Lasso do it for you. And now, here are your hosts, Blake Ruff and Sherman Merced.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. I'm Blake Ruff, and we have Frank here from Old Glory Gym. Today, we're going to talk about Frank's gym and just his experience overall as a gym owner. Frank's kind of a unique experience where we did probably 3 to 4 calls before he ever signed up with us. So if you guys are on the fence of like, hey, is this for me? Frank, you definitely want to listen to this podcast. Definitely want to stay tuned for this as he's going to go into what maybe held him back, and then kind of his experience. And like always, we're just going to keep it honest and blunt, and then hopefully you guys get a lot of value. So Frank, tell us a little bit about your location. Tell us about, you as the gym owner and anything that you think that is interesting for people.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks, Blake. So we're here located in Ashburn, Virginia, right? Good old suburb of DC, outside near the Dulles Airport. And so we've been here in existence. Come July, we are in business for 9 years. I am the second owner of the gym, so I took over for the original owner, who is still part of the community and still with us, but has definitely handed off the baton to me. So I've been in the lead role for running this place for the last 2 years, essentially. And then we've been just doing all the things you can imagine, right? So 9 years, seen everything, right? So I've been through the COVID, been the highs, lows, and everything like that. We're on a great upswing right now. Pretty excited for what we got going on and really everything else that's coming along with it with this summer kickoff. So
yeah, that's awesome. And so that's kind of funny to say summer kickoff, because a lot of people struggle during the summertime because it's when people, like we're seeing it all the time, taking summer vacations, kids are getting out of school, so they're leaving. But you just mentioned before this call, before we hopped on, you've already signed up 11 signups for adults and 10 youth for 21 in June, which is just absolutely bonkers and crazy. So kudos to you. But going back to that, like, let's talk a little bit about it took you a while to sign up with Lasso, but I guess tell me a little bit of what, most of our clients come because they feel like they're like stuck in a revenue, like they keep doing the same thing, try all these different things and nothing works. And they're like, hey man, why don't I give this thing a shot? So tell me a little bit about like, what made you reach out, why you were hesitant. And then, a lot of clients come, they've been burned before by other marketing companies. And like, what has your experience been before?
So I think one of the things is just understanding who you guys were and finding out what paid advertising was going to do for the gym. At this point, I felt pretty stagnant insofar as I didn't know how we were getting leads, right? The reputation of the gym is obviously we've been around a little bit, but even so, what I hear when I had new members, like, how did you find us? Well, I kind of Googled you or did something like that. And as much as I want to wear the t-shirts or I want to try to, put my business card out there for everybody, it just wasn't generating the leads that I was hoping to get as far as getting people in the gym. So I was like, okay, I got to do something different. Otherwise, it's going to be stuck in the mud forever. So Lasso being associated with Push Press Health, because, our software is that. And so I heard something about you guys from there, and then just started doing the research there. Try to look at other companies as far as what they were going to offer, what they did. But did hear some good things from other people I've talked to within the Push Press community. And so what I did was, okay, worst case scenario, I can always take a phone call, right? That's free. So did that obviously with you guys. I had a few of those phone calls. Kept just trying to figure out, okay, is this the best way to go about it? Because at the end of the day, you got to make a call on something, right? So you can't just stay stagnant and then expect results to be different, right? So I think just having that discussion with you guys over and over again, still continue to do the research, still asking for any recommendations and or experiences from other people who have it with regards to any paid advertising in general, and then go from there, right? So calling that, making that decision in November with you guys was it was scary at first, but it's been actually pretty happy that we made that call back then.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you do something new, it's always a little intimidating for sure. And I know you said November, you're kind of like 21K. How long were you before you started kind of around that 21K?
We were there like that for like the pretty much the fall, right? So I saw that,
Okay.
hey, the summer drop off did happen last year.
Mm,
We picked up a little bit in September, but then just wasn't going in the direction we wanted, right? So trying to figure out, okay, I don't think that this is going to be going to be sustainable. We just wanted to figure out, got to do something different because otherwise we're just going to depreciate and just die off. I didn't want that, right? So
mm.
how do I if I can get people in here, people love the gym, they love the community, they see what it's all about, then that's easy, right? Then they know what they're going to go. They're going to be like, okay, I'm in, let's go, right? So, but how to get to that point was the crux of the issue. So just trying to figure out a solution for that. So
Yeah.
that's
And I
what
think
we
it's
decided
interesting
to do.
too, because you said last year there was like a summer drop off, but this year you're up 21, and like somebody else mentioned in our Slack that they're in a college town and they lost over the course of the summer 26 so far, but they're still up 5K. Something, you're already up in June of this year, and granted this to 9 months, you're up $6,000 per month. And somebody might say, okay, only $6,000 over 9 months, but if you take $6,000, 6 times 12, that's, we're at $72,000 over the course of the year of an increase. That's almost $100,000 in a year. And you're constantly going up, and you'll hit great numbers this month. And if July is as good as, you'll hit $30,000. So tell us kind of how that, I think one thing, people come on board and they think that like, hey, we're going to do a lot of the work. We're going to do like connecting everything. And I remember our conversation, like, with the CRM and kind of streamlining that for a little bit for you. But what's that process been like for like onboarding? But as a gym owner that's like, hey, I'm thinking about paid marketing, where do you feel like they either have the misconception as like you being a client that like, hey, there's actually still a decent amount of work on my side to follow up with these people, get them in, but like I always say, growing a business, there's always going to be work, right? So tell a little bit about that process of like, as a gym owner, your responsibilities and like how you've managed that.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So you guys paired me up with Tommy, right? So Tommy's been a
Mm,
godsend. So he just
yeah, he's
working
awesome.
through numbers, all that kind of stuff. And that's all I was trying to look at. So what are we as far as getting insofar as cold leads, warm leads, anything, any type of leads, right? So looking at those numbers, figuring out how to get the people in the door, right? And understanding that process has been somewhat interesting, in fact, right? It was like confused at first, but he walked me through it, right? We had those meetings, we were walking through it, we're talking about, okay, what about this? What about that? What are you doing? I'm like, okay. So eventually, come 4 months in, right? You had that trickle effect, right? Because you and I talked about it at the beginning. It's not going to happen overnight. I did not expect that either, right? Christmas time frame. Here I am trying to kick that off too.
Mm,
Just trying to get the word out there, right? Everybody wants that new year, new you thing, but I was trying to avoid that and just actually people who want to have that change. And so that marketing started, and then by the time March hit, and the word was getting out, and so we started seeing that the numbers and the leads coming in, and then we had to refine the process even better, right? So that's always been since day one, refining the process of how to take that potential cold lead or whatever lead you want to call it, and then turning it into that person that then comes into your four walls, right, inside the gym itself, right? So that was a big thing as well. So from March through the beginning of May, we really refined that, and then I brought in somebody to help me out with that. A staff member here at the gym,
mm-hmm,
and she and I just go back and forth on that. So,
mm,
and so what we've been able to do is like, okay, this has worked in the past. This is what phrases, what things are connecting with people that don't know you in order to get into the walls of your gym, and then okay, once they come in here, we know they'll love the gym. But we
yeah.
refined that process over the last 2 months. And so what we saw in May was a big uptick and then really kicking off like big time in June, right? So that's been a learning process throughout the whole thing. But the word's getting out there. So that's been a big help too.
Yeah, and I think go into that a little bit because I think that's something we don't talk about enough. Like, and it could be different for different areas, right? Like somebody on the East Coast might speak different than somebody on the West Coast. But what have you
True.
found as like foundationally And like things that you, like you said, like, hey, maybe we try something different and really notice an uptick. Like, what were some of those things like that you guys did differently in the nurture process? Because I feel like that's a massive thing that people miss is that, like, just got a message, oh, like this isn't working. And I'm like looking at the responses. I'm like, well, it's not that it's not working, is your responses, you're either giving information too fast, you're not asking questions, or you're not responding quick enough. Like, what are things that you guys noticed?
So quick response is key,
Hmm.
right? The thank you for responding so quickly. That phrase has been we've seen that multiple times. Like, so if I took like a survey of like what was the best, that phrase comes up more than anything else, right? Thank you for
That's awesome.
responding. So Lauren is on top of that. She's the one who helps me out with that, and so over and over again, she's on top of it to say, "Hey, we got you. What are you looking for?" Right? So, hey, you clicked on us for some reason, right? There's a reason you want to try us out. There's a reason you want to make a change. There's a reason something caught your eye, right? So she sees that, and then just has that. It's not an AI bot, right? So,
Mm.
she clearly and distinctly shows that, hey, I'm a person, and I'm here to help you. Come check us out because this is going to
Yeah.
change it, right? Because once they do that, we know, again, I said it like 4 times I think already. You get in here, you're gonna love the place because that's always been the case. We like our close rate as far as like leads when they come into the door. Once they come in, it's I don't want 90%, right?
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
maybe over. Yeah, that's not the hard part. The hard part is just getting people comfortable with all the this day and age with all the bots that are hitting up or spam or anything like that. Lauren helps give that human touch to it, and then from there, okay, got it. That's a real person. It's a real gym. It's not somebody else. And then, you know, I just look at Lasso as like, hey, we just got to get them. Okay, they know about Old Glory, and then Lauren takes over and says, yeah, you got to come check us out. And then it's my job to say, hey, this is my community. This is the gym, and here are the results we want to. This is the path we want to put you on, right?
Yeah,
So they
that's
reach
awesome.
your goals or whatever you want to, whatever brought them in that day.
Yeah, and I think, it's sad, but it's amazing that like in this day and age, like just to respond quickly is a differentiator for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Yeah.
so many gyms are taking too long to respond that people appreciate like you just getting back to them. And so like I think if you're listening to this and you take over like an hour to get people are like, "Oh, I'll get to them with an hour." Like, no, we're talking like 5 minutes if you can, right? They're like, "Wow, that's impressive." It just shows your level of like professionalism and support when it comes to a client. And I think one other thing you said is like, in the day and age of AI, like everybody thought like forever ago, like AI is just going to take over all my conversations. And I always said from day one, AI is going to become the new zero. Like, remember when people like you just want to talk to an
Mm-hmm.
operator, you're like 000. It's the same thing. Like now people are going to say real person, represented. And I do it
Yep.
already, right? It's the same thing. So people are missing out. And I always said the human to human connection is always going to win, always 100%, because it's a real person. People don't want to talk to a robot. Now granted, if it's general information, but if you're really seeking out to like solve a problem, and I think that's I feel like I'm making a great point. Like when you want general information, like a robot's fine, right? Like you can get, oh,
Yep.
I just need these things, get my questions answered, frequently asked questions kind of thing. But when you're like really have a serious problem, you're like, I need a solution, I want to get to that path as fast as possible. And if I can talk to somebody and get there faster, get them booked, and just like you're saying, and then we have Charlie, I think might be our next one from BoomFit. That dude will like he doesn't even text people back. He just calls them immediately when he sees he gets a
Mm-hmm.
response. And that fast response sets you apart. So I think that's great that you said that. And I really hope if anybody like just listening in that, like when it comes to lead nurture, just doing those two things are going to make you so much better at getting people in the door. Right.
Oh yeah.
What do you think? Now you said you a 90% close rate, and so like we help with sales, and you have Tommy. Tommy is absolutely phenomenal and super smart dude. But what do you think makes you guys so good at sales to have that 90% close rate? Because I know there's a lot of gyms that struggle with cold traffic.
Oh, I don't know. To me, it's pretty simple. Look, if you believe in what you do here, and you feel confident with what you have here, I got a great staff, right? So
Hmm.
I got coaches that had been with this gym since day one, right? So and to have like within any type of functional fitness space, right, like a little micro gym like us, to have a coach that's been here for over 9 years, that's unheard of. And this gym not only has one, it has several, right?
Wow.
So and then on top of that, the staff has probably 3 or 4 more that have been here. If we've been here 9 years, they've been here over 7+, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that aspect of it, there's no churn on that aspect of it. They believe in what we're trying to do here. And then from there, it makes it like, look, these guys know what they're doing. I try to help them out as much as possible. But for most part, having the staff that believes in that makes it easy for me to say, hey, look, these are the kind of people you're going to be interacting with, right? So, and most of the time, what I try to do is like when I, those book those free intros, whatever you want to call it, right? When we set that up, it's usually right before a class or even during a class, right? I want to see them in action. I want the potential client or person coming into the gym see that coach in action, like what they're doing. Then I say, this is what the coach is doing with this class. Look how he or she is walking around, talking to people, getting to know them. All that personal action that we want to establish within this gym. And so once they see that and I walk them through it, then I just sit them down like, that's what we're looking to do from here, so that you don't have to worry about, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like, I care less. The only metric I even care about is that, did you show up today? Click. I checked you into class. That's the only metric I even care about. Yeah. Nobody cares about how heavy you lift. Nobody cares how fast you did it in. Did you do it well? Did you move well? Did you show up? That's the first thing. So that's the metric we care about. And so we go over that over and over again every week. Say, hey, how are we looking? How are the classes looking? Which one's looking? So that's what. So when I do that, and I emphasize those points with a potential client, like if you're looking at that and you put your shoes on, you started your car, you're way over halfway there to come on it. And once you get here, you do that 3-4 times a week, you'll see the results you want. So that's mainly what I talk about. And then from there, that's it. Here we go. Let's go. So
yeah, and I think that's huge. Like most people join a gym for accountability, right? And like you said, I think some gyms miss the mark, especially like CrossFit gyms and things like that, that they're still so gung-ho about like, this is like CrossFit and so hardcore. It's like, no, just show up, dude. Just keep showing up, right? And like, that's the only metric that matters, because people that come to a gym that's overly hard, that's not scaled and things like, they don't want to come back to it. And what's going to get them results is coming 3 times a week, right? Coming 4 times. If they hate the class because they get beat up so bad and they think they have to compete with everybody else, they're not going to show up because either their ego's hurt or they're hurt themselves. But I think one thing you said too, and it reminded me of when I had my gyms, is like, there's something to say about when people see a class that they see other people that look like them. And I remember when I used to sell people and there was like, I'd be sitting with somebody and like, you literally remind me of X out there. Let me grab her real quick so she can tell her story, right? And it would just be like 5 minutes, like, oh, you got to meet Susie. Like, she's like literally started exactly where you were. She's saying the exact things, because then it wasn't me selling them, it was the client, like, and they were telling it in their own story. Yeah. So I think there's something powerful to like, not only see how the coaches interact, but also just like be able to like, say like a 40-year-old came in and there's only 20-year-olds and they're all super fit, right? They're going to be like, this is not the place for me. But if they see other people that look like them, they're like, oh, she's doing it. She looks just like me, body type wise, age wise. And so it lowers the like intimidation factor where they're like, oh my gosh, like I could do this too, kind of thing. So I think there's something. And I say lastly, like the reason you're honestly probably really good at sales is just the confidence of like, I think a lot of gym owners are like, if they're honest, they wouldn't pay their own prices, right? Oh. And so like they portray like this is expensive, and they're like, I don't feel comfortable selling it because I probably wouldn't spend this much. And until you get to a spot, you're like, yeah, we're worth this price, and like probably above and beyond that. But here's what your responsibility is: like you got to show up, right? And then you put it like, hey, if you want the results, like we have the plan, but it's on you to come in our doors. And I think that's a huge thing too.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, a little bit here. Right now you're at 27K. I know you're with Tommy. What's the next 6 months? What's, end of 2025? What do you want it to look like? And then, 3-5 years, what does Old Glory look like for you?
Oh my gosh, man. So just continue on the trajectory we're at right now. We continue this. If if the second half of the year is anything like the first half, my goodness, I can't wait, right, to what the come December is going to look like. Then, so when I hit my 1 year with Lasso, for instance, right, compared, and, doing that year-over-year comparison will be very interesting. I'm very excited to see where it's going to be, right? I want to hit, near-term goals, like another 5K, boom, that would be nice. Another 5K on top of that, because then our outreach can be better. We can do more community activities or charitable events or anything of that nature, right? Those are the drivers behind a lot of things we try to do, right? Because the more impact we can have, then the better we're enhancing whatever your community and everything like that. It just end over end helps each other out. It's like, and I love that aspect of it. So I'm hoping that, we can hit, 27, 28 now, hit 30, 35 by the, come fall time frame, ideally, come next year, come 2026, who knows? I mean, we start looking at doubling the revenue, whatever, because then that'd be nice. That'd be awesome. But it's just, I'm excited to see where it can go.
Yeah. And I think, if you guys are listening to this, like, in November, if he hits even 30K, that sounds like, oh my gosh, that was a year and it took $10,000 increase. But like I said earlier, if you extrapolate that out, that's 120 grand over the course of the year. That's like probably 20 to 30% increase year over year, which is massive for any business. Like a thriving business that increases 10% is good. Right. Mm-hmm. So if you increase over $100,000 a year, that is insane. So, and I think one other thing you said earlier, and I meant to mention, is like, you have created like people say you either own a job or own a business. Like you've created a thriving business. Like you're like, hey, you probably still like sales, but for the most part, like you got your coaches, you got your staff. Like this thing is a well-oiled machine where you can say, hey, I can go fast if I want. And I know the gym's going to keep doing what it's doing and the wheels aren't going to come off. So I think it's one thing too, is just even the process of like working with Tommy and just, all the other stuff that you're probably getting, is that like building that thriving business where you're not like, dude, I got to show up at the gym at 5 a.m. and leave at 7 p.m. every day.
Oh yeah, that would, I'd be burnt out pretty quick if that was the case.
For sure. So Frank, what's one thing, or what's a couple things that you would tell, tips that you would give gym owners that are either, we have a lot of gym owners that usually trying to break that 20K mark, or gym owners like some good, I always like to one of the best business pieces of advice I got was, sooner or later, everybody is going to leave your gym. So don't get emotional about it. Right. So that was one of the things that I got, but like, what are some, like one business tip that like you've gotten? And then also, what would you say to gym owners that are like, hey, I've tried all this other stuff, mentor stuff, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what's next, and what you would tell them about paid marketing?
Yeah. You got to get your name out there, right? At the end of the day, right? No matter how long you've been in business or whatever. I found that Old Glory, like I said, 9 years, we're probably the oldest micro gym in the area, right? But people still don't know about it, right? So the more I can get it out there, the better, right? So I think if they don't know you, they're not going to see you, right? If they don't know, they can't come by and see you if they don't know you exist. So that's a big thing. Getting that out there is a huge, huge thing. And then just, you started it for a reason. You want to own the gym for a reason, right? Just take that same joy and then just want to give it to other people. Once that aspect is in there, I think that's easy. People can relate to that, right? Because what sparked that joy to get you going and get into this business should be the same spark you want to give to others, right? So I know that sounds cheesy, but it's like that's what it's got to drive you, right? So, and I like that. And then working with you guys has been pretty easy. Like I said, Tommy, the kind of the mental approach he has, it, more numbers and everything driven, that helps. I like that all day long, right? So I think you guys even joked in the first one, it's like, yeah, let's just get frank with Tommy, because numbers wise, they're going to speak the same language. And so that was key, I think, as well. And so it made my transition very easy in that aspect. And granted, easy in the fact that communication was easy. But we went through ups and downs, going back and forth, like, okay, I had a question about this, question about that. And it helped refine the process. And that was the key behind that too. So, so if you're looking at it, I would say, hey, look, you just got to understand that if you could take that, what got you into this, and get those people in here, they got to know you're here. And then from there, it's easier said than done once you feel comfortable with like, hey, look, this is why we have the gym here, right? So it's going to be everything you want it to, because it does it for myself, right? So that's how I look at it.
Awesome, man. Well, Frank, thanks so much for hopping on today. And then if you guys got value out of this, definitely share it with another gym owner. Make sure you save our podcast or follow it so it comes up. And then leave us a rating if you guys enjoyed this. So Franks, thanks again, man, for hopping on, and really appreciate it, and can't wait to have you back on at the end of the year when you hit 30K, man.
Okay, sounds good, man. Appreciate it, Blake.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast with Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks. We hope you enjoyed. We believe marketing should increase revenue and not waste money. So book your free call today. Head on over to lassoframework.com. That's lassoframework.com and find the right words, get more customers, and increase your revenue. We'll see you here next time.